Hello and welcome to my routine before an exam. Tomorrow I'm going to be taking the LSAT, which is the entrance exam that I have to take in order to apply to law school. And I've been studying for this since October of 2022, so it has been October. 5 months, just a little bit over 5 months of studying. Yeah, and since it's the night before, there are just some things I always do in advance of an exam. And I'm not talking about like just like little quizzes, because like that would be kind of weird if I went through all this formal stuff before a minor quiz that I have for class. This is kind of like my routine for major exams, like when I took the SAT. Yeah, so I'll take you along with my routine. Actually, while I'm sitting here, it's 4:24 in the afternoon, so even though I'm actually terrible about hydrating, I don't hydrate. I will have like some sips of water with a meal, but I don't drink in between meals, which I know is really bad. But in cases like this, I do try to hydrate. Just to interject here, drinking water is actually like really good for your brain, and that's why it's good to do before a test. But beware, because if you drink too much, it might disrupt your sleep during the night or distract you during your exam. It's never good to cram the day before a test, but I do think it's good to review just some basic material. So what I did is I went through and looked at questions I'd gotten wrong, and then I also went through and even reviewed the questions that I got right. And this is also very important because it's reinforcing what you do know, and it helps to boost your confidence too. And going into an exam feeling confident, like you can actually do well, has a huge impact on your performance. So I went through and did some logical reasoning problems and just read the explanations for them to make sure that I really understood the content and just the format of logical reasoning. After that, I cleaned off my work area. If you have an in-person exam, this obviously won't apply to you, but ever since the pandemic, a lot of exams are online, and the LSAT actually is going to be moved back to having an in-person option by August, but mine was online, so I made sure that my desk area was perfectly clean, and I even scrubbed it so that I wouldn't have crumbs underneath my elbows that would distract me. And now for the morning of the exam. I started off by getting some fresh air into my room and doing some more cleaning that I hadn't done the night before, and that includes just like making my bed. I had breakfast. You definitely don't want to be hungry during your exam, and I had toast. Afterwards, I got out all of the materials that I would need for my exam. So that's having a water bottle with me, passport for ID. You're allowed to have 5 sheets of lined paper. Make sure that you know exactly what you're going to need for your exam, and you have anything that you might need, like an extra pencil or extra batteries if you need a calculator. Another thing I like to do is at the very least get dressed, even if it's an online exam. I didn't do my makeup or anything, so I didn't get fancy, but just feeling dressed helps me feel more ready to tackle an exam. And then beforehand, I really hate when I don't feel like I know what I'm doing going into an exam, so I made sure to review all the instructions, like how to log in and how to make sure that your equipment is working fine. Once I was actually prepared for the exam, like I have all my stuff out and I've reviewed, I've done some warm-up questions, that's when I journaled, just to get my thoughts down on the page and just to kind of memorialize what my thoughts were before taking the LSAT for the first time. About an hour before my exam started, I went for a walk. This is one of the most important things in the routine, I think, and actually it was my AP US history teacher that told us to do this, because moving around before you take a long test is obviously good to like get the blood flow to your brain, but also just being out in fresh air can help to clear your head. I only went out for like a 20-25 minute walk because I didn't want to be out too far from my room, you know, right before the test was about to start. So then for the last few minutes, I just did something to calm my nerves and to make me feel less anxious. So I played some GeoGuessr. It's one of my favorite games because I love geography. And oh, I screwed up on this one. I was thinking Graceland was in Nashville. It's not, it's in Memphis. But this is actually like going for a walk. I think that this is one of the most important things that you can do for yourself before an exam. The worst state of mind is an incredibly stressed one, because that's going to make you overthink everything you're doing, and you're much more likely to freeze up because you're already feeling so tense and anxious. So whatever it is that helps to calm you down and helps to make you feel like you're confident and like you're going to do well, do that before an exam. Just even get your mind off of it. Don't think about the exam 5 minutes before you take your exam. And this honestly helped me a lot to get in the right headspace. Alright, I've got just under 15 minutes until the exam officially starts. This is by far the most nervous I've ever been for a test. Even the SATs, I did the school administered practice tests and I only did like 2 of them and that was it. And I was stressed for the SATs. I've done so many practice tests for this and I just feel like so much is riding on my score. I'm gonna go in assuming that it's gonna go well, and I guess I will update you after the exam is over because now I have to put away my phone and shut it off and everything. But and I'll also show my post-exam routine as well. So here we go. Okay, I am done. I don't think that I blew it, but I also don't think that I performed phenomenally. I'll probably end up retaking it. I am in the music practice room to just kind of let off like the energy. There's a lot of energy that kind of comes with taking the exam. I feel like playing an instrument is going to help with that. I haven't been able to practice in a long time because the practice room was locked over spring break. I'm primarily just gonna like do some easier pieces. You know, the goal isn't to stress myself out more with any inadequacy I might have with playing the violin, so I'm not going to challenge myself with it because today's already been quite stressful. But I think that not necessarily playing an instrument, but having a way to take yourself out of that adrenaline mode is definitely really important in your exam routine so that you don't have negative effects from the stress. I practiced violin for a little bit, not very long, because again, it was just kind of the point to get my mind off the test rather than do like a rigorous violin practice. Another thing I love to do is just to enjoy myself after taking the exam. So I had some of my favorite food and finished the night with like an ice cream sandwich thing, which was absolutely delicious. I didn't show it, but like later I watched some Netflix and read a book, got into comfy clothes. Make sure that you know how to de-stress after your exam. It's really an important part. But that is my entire routine for the night before, the morning of, and the afternoon after taking an exam. I hope that it was helpful, and best of luck with your exams.